Good morning, and welcome to A Word of Hope. My name is Brother Adrian McCaffrey, a student brother in my 6th year here in St. Louis. Today, Jesus' words go to the heart of the Christian experience. He says, if the world hates you, realize that it hated me first. Not only do Jesus' words tell us that the Christian life can be exceedingly difficult, but it tells us that some people will even hate the very light we bring to it. This passage comes from the Gospel of John, the same Gospel where, in chapter 3, the evangelist tells us that some people prefer darkness to light. In fact, these people do not only prefer the darkness, they hate the light. Anyone who acts shamefully, John says, hates the light and will not come into the light for fear that his doings, his actions, will be found out. Let me repeat. Anyone who acts shamefully hates the light. Hatred, we see, begins with shame. They are ashamed, and so they hide from the light. Now, shame is different from guilt. Guilt is the experience a person has when she or he realizes that they've done wrong. It's the conscience in our hearts that cries out in pain because it knows we have acted, in fact, poorly. Shame, on the other hand, is the experience of alienation. It is the experience of condemnation, of judgment, of utter aloneness. When somebody feels shame, he feels unworthy, separate from others, isolated from love. This alienation or isolation is the experience of shame. God calls us to experience guilt, of course, when we have erred or made a mistake in some way. He never calls us to experience shame. But some people experience shame and then allow this shame to fester and grow into hatred. This, then, is the meaning of hatred in this text. It is a realization that people who hate are hurting, are wounded, are experiencing feelings of isolation and loneliness. It should remind us why we cannot bear them grudges for their hatred, why we cannot brood or nurse wounds of sorrow for their unkindness. Their hatred should be a clue to us, a sign that helps us to recall what the evangelist John says here in this gospel, that these are persons who hide from the light, who hate it because of shame. And we know there is only one way to break the bondage of shame, in others and in ourselves. We have to remember that we are never alone. We are never apart from. We are not isolated. God and his angels are with us always. There is no lonely spot in this universe where we can feel apart. Always, God is as near to us as our very heartbeat.